we live? Does he give thumbs? Look at this. I saw his thumbs up. Aw.
Two of them.
Not So Tender Podcast number 22. Yay. Episode 22. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful day outside. Is it nice out? I haven't been outside.
It was, yeah. Better than the other day. What was
way
that?
Earlier today.
Yesterday that was super rainy? Yeah.
Yeah, yes. I didn't know. I heard rain outside. I was like, I walked outside. I was like, ugh.
It rained all day. But yeah, no, today was nice.
We have a special guest today. I'll let Kelly introduce her because...
This is Stepanie.
Hello.
I'll let you, if you want to share your credentials, you can share what you do and where you come from, where you hail from.
Where do you hail from?
My name is Stepanie. I am a therapist. I'm an LPCCS. I am from Akron, Ohio. I
love having therapists on the show. They're my favorite.
I always have one on the show.
We can tag teams, Thomas.
Last time one of your cohorts were here, I had quite a revolution in my life.
It was an emotional experience that day.
It really was. It changed my life dramatically.
Mm-hmm. That was Marissa.
It was.
It was Marissa.
Wow.
She threw him for a loop.
It was good though. I needed it.
Hopefully. Well, so Stepanie does EMDR.
EMDR. So she's a DJ and she does electronic music.
Yes.
For anyone who doesn't know what that is, would you care to give a brief or not so brief? Whatever you wish.
You had a bunch of questions that I could not answer that day. I was like,
well,
because it is.
Because some people
I am not trained. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization reprocessing. Mm-hmm. It is a form of therapy that is supposed to stimulate the right and left hemispheres of your brain. It's supposed to kind of make you do what we do during sleep, that REM movement, but during your wake time, so that you reprocess your traumatic experiences while you're in a conscious state and are able to desensitize them the way dreams help desensitize what has happened during your day when you're sleeping.
So they do it in business hours.
Except it does it during business hours in a more conscious
with great
way.
Results.
Yes. It is, I would say it is touted as a faster form of therapy. What I tell my clients is that you can think faster than you can talk.
Yeah.
So, us talking, it takes a while for that to come out. It's also harder to lie.
When you're doing
when you're thinking versus when you're talking.
Wow.
I'd
imagine.
Yeah.
For some.
Yeah, for some. So,
That's a special diagnosis.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you lie to your therapist or you lie to those around you because it feels uncomfortable or because you feel embarrassed or ashamed. But when it's just the thought of what has happened to you or how you're feeling about yourself going through your head, you tend to be more honest.
In here.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're trying to lie to you, it's in here for sure.
So that reprocessing happens internally. And your therapist is just there to check in with you throughout the process and to make sure that you are actually continuing to go on with that you're making process with the with the bilaterals. But I think it's usually pretty powerful. It's usually pretty has a lot of like body sensations that go along with it.
Right. I've had a few people that I know do it and they had to take a small break because it became way too intense for them for a while. So that's the few people that I've had speak about it. They've both said, I had to take a break. Like it uncovered some things that, they could only withstand for so long, and then they had to take a little break. And then when they went back, they actually had a really, a better experience with it. how would you know that that would be something you would need or would benefit you? I guess is a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that EMDR was originally taken for people coming back from war. So a lot of times it was for those people with PTSD. And if you think about the idea of like soldiers, the idea of talking about traumatic experiences and stuff like that wasn't something that you did, not even amongst each other, but definitely not with therapists.
Professionals, yeah.
Right.
But what we've since found is that, you know, EMDR is helpful with anxiety, it's helpful with grief, it's helpful with depression, it's helpful with addiction. So it's helpful with more things than just trauma at this point.
You guys are throwing it at everything right now.
Yeah, I mean,
In a good way, you know.
Yeah, in a good way.
Why not?
So I tend to use it when I think that I have somebody who traditional talk therapy is not going to be the thing that progresses them along.
It doesn't move very quickly.
Or if it's very complex. So I am trained as like a complex trauma therapist. When I have people who have things that are heavily overlaying or they're in a constant crisis state, then I find that we need something to break that up.
That would seem like it would cut through a little quicker, you know.
It has a lot of mindfulness components to it as well. So if somebody is able to be in a space where they can do things, or it would be really beneficial for them to do things where they are able to visualize and meditate or learn meditation, EMDR is usually a really good tool to use.
Well, and there's people that you would not recommend it for.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
What kind of people would those be? We probably need more of understanding that, I think.
Yeah. So I, when I'm starting EMDR with someone, I do a scale with them to kind of see how frequently they disassociate and how intense they disassociate. So we all do a little disassociation.
That's pretty safe.
Some people tend to get sucked into disassociation at stronger rates. I can be a little bit more cautious around that because the idea isn't that I want them to actually feel as if they are reliving trauma and get stuck in that moment.
Right.
I also would not use EMDR for someone who would struggle with the ability to self-regulate afterwards. So if I am doing series of teaching I do a lot of what we call resourcing, but it's really like grounding exercises, the meditation, the mindfulness, all of that. I do that for sometimes like weeks, months before I actually do any of the EMDR reprocessing.
So giving them the tools they need before.
If I don't find that someone is particularly great at that, I might not ever go into the EMDR portion of things.
So it's like another level of like, you have to be very mindful before you could use that or go through that.
Yeah. It's unsafe, wouldn't you say? Like if their disassociation threshold is too much, or, real low, or they go too far, or
it would make it way worse.
My biggest fear would be that we crack something open and that I can't
put it back in the jar.
Get them out. Right,
I can't put you back in a jar. We can't do anything once that's there, and so I don't want you walking around with this wide open wound when so far you've been at least bandaged it over.
You've been functioning.
She doesn't want to pick up spicy rocks. No spicy rocks.
No. I made a point to a friend that I said that, if your person handed you all their stuff, you're not allowed to pick up those rocks and throw them back at them. I said it today.
Did you?
Like, if somebody shares and is vulnerable with you, when you're upset with them, you can't be like,
Right.
And he was like, shit. Like, wow.
Yeah.
So, well, that was her introduction, and we'll get back into that. I normally ask Kelly, how was your week, Kelly?
It's been a little
I
little
talked to
nutty.
Kelly this week.
Right?
I know how her week was.
Been a little nutty. I did some traveling for my son's travel team for volleyball. So I was in Chicago for a couple days. Love Chicago.
It's nice. One of my favorite. I spent a whole summer there one time.
Yeah, I really
It's
do.
amazing.
I really do enjoy it.
Favorite music store in the whole world's there.
What's that?
Chicago Music Exchange.
Mm.
Best music store I've ever been to.
So did some sightseeing. My son had a blast. I had a blast.
How'd he do?
They did okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new kids on their team this year, and so it was a good start. That was their first tournament, so
Nice.
it was a good start to their season. So he was pumped. I got a bunch of new clients this week, so that was a little rough. I think I had like 3, 4, which is a lot in 1 week.
Actual clients or intakes?
Intakes. Like I had 3 or 4 intakes.
Oh, man.
So that was a lot. It's a lot to try to process. I usually will like click the toggle to like, I'm not taking new people if I have that many intakes at once, because I have to keep them separate in my head and I have to do treatment planning and stuff. So it's a lot.
That's your week.
Yeah.
I had a reasonable week.
Good.
No, go ahead.
I was told this week that I'm not very helpful. It's always my favorite.
Was this by a client?
Uh-huh.
You're like, no, it's by my 9-year-old.
No, I had a
Seriously?
Yeah, which they took that back.
They walked it
They
back?
were having a very emotional moment. It was one of my couples. And they had just verbalized. It's happened a couple times. This was just the first time it was like, I don't think this is helping, and like, you're just maybe not the right one for us. Or I was like, that's totally fine.
It's not me, it's
totally
you.
fine. Yeah, totally fine.
It's not us, it's you.
Yeah, it just can be very frustrating when you, specifically with couples, because you're also dependent on their willingness to move and to work, and so it can be more frustrating. If it's individual, you're struggling with getting the motivation, but with couples, sometimes you have somebody who's more motivated or more open, and so
Or just wants the hell out of there.
yeah, they were having a hard time. So it was an emotional moment, and then at the end, the other partner was like, "Well, I'm not mad at you at all, and I think you're fantastic." I was like,
And you're like this.
I was
Told
like, well,
you.
I don't think that they're mad at me. And she was like, I'm not. I'm sorry I said that. I was like, it is okay. It's okay. But I think that's helpful for people to know. Like, sometimes therapy can be super frustrating.
Dude, I think everything.
Yeah.
The drive over here could be super frustrating.
I know. But people, I think, sometimes hope that they're going to go and just kind of like vomit up all of their stuff, and we're just going to like sort through it and put it back together in a box,
Yeah.
and then they're
You're an
going to go home.
organizer,
Yeah,
right?
right. Sometimes we take 3 steps backwards because something big has happened, or we ran into a barrier, or a whole ass stone wall.
Well, that's not helpful.
It's true.
Why are you running them into barriers?
Well, the holidays are coming up, so that is causing people a
Yeah.
lot of stress.
They're almost here.
A lot of stress.
They're here.
They're
It is here. I have a turkey in my refrigerator. They are here.
I know, but they're going into the, into the in-laws, or seeing their sister, or seeing that, like,
My sister's sweet.
I know. I do love my sister.
I had a young couple that had something pretty traumatic happen in their life, and she was getting a tattoo for it. My life is weird sometimes at the shop. I'll have multiple clients come in with like the same kind of stuff going on in one day. And I did these violets down her back, and I think that's what they named their child that they lost. And then they're a wonderful young couple, and you could tell that they had this somberness to them that, like, they've been through some shit, and they actually, you could tell they were strong.
Yeah.
Like, it was a good strong,
Yeah.
and we talked about a lot of stuff. And we worked through some stuff with them, because she was talking about, like, how he didn't kind of react the way she thought. And I was like, how should he react? She goes, I don't know. I go, I don't know if you don't know how he's supposed to, like, and he's going like this. And he said, for a young man, he goes, I know I need to be strong for her.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And it was neat. And then they left, and I had a client come in from Arizona, and she was getting a tattoo for her grandmother, also of Violet, who passed away. And after she left, I was like,
that's weird.
What the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
right.
So that's kind of my thing. I had 3 friends. They're like 30 years old. They grew up together on the same street, and they always had bonfires. And they all got this little bonfire tattoo today. And they were hilarious.
Uh-huh.
And 2 of them were talking. And one guy's a big dude. Like, he's a big dude. And the other guy's kind of small. And they sing in a barbershop, not a quartet, but like a group.
Yeah.
And he goes, what do you think I sing? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like baritone? And he's like, no, I'm a tenor. And the big guy was a tenor and the little guy was a bass. And I was like, are you guys messing with me?
Yeah.
But there are 3 guys. 2 of them are married. One has a 2-year-old. The other one has another baby on the way. And the other guy's single. But he was with a girl for like 7 years. But they were so close. And the way they supported each other and the way they talked to each other. And they were well-rounded. And they were funny. And it was an awesome morning hanging out with them. You know, they were super. I was happy that they had both. One has a 2-year-old daughter and the other one has a daughter on the way. And I'm so happy that those girls are going to have them as dads, because you could tell that they like care about stuff and like are realistic about stuff. And for young men, when people talk about these young people, I was like, well, those ones are pretty dope.
Right.
And they were awesome. And it was really neat.
Yeah. Some young people suck. And some old people suck.
Yeah, people
like,
can
it's not
suck.
like
Yeah, I've never met a mean old person.
or one that lacks insight and awareness.
My distaste for old people. Oof. I'd be like this. Bye. See ya. Gone. Ugh.
Aw, I love old people.
No.
I really do.
You do?
I really do.
For like what? To like fill a hole? Like what? Like I don't
know.
No.
No. I do.
They're
I like
okay.
I like when they're bitter and feisty.
You do?
And then you can like crack them, and then you find out that like they're just lonely, or they just the last neighbor they had was a bitch, or like
right.
I like that.
Oof. You're more patient. I'm super patient. I'm over it. They're gross.
You don't think they're cute?
No.
You don't think they're cute either?
They not pee in their own pants. No. They're adults that can hit you with a car. They're like babies that can hit you with a car. They're not adults. They're gross.
No, when I see them at like the grocery store. Since I work from home, I go to the grocery store at like 10 a.m. now.
The best.
It's fantastic.
The best.
But like, guess who's there?
Old people.
Old people.
Yeah, talking about how much bananas cost now.
Yeah, walking with their cart. And
Do you
they
see how much eggs are?
Fold up their walker and put it in the cart so they could use their cart. Stop it. They're so cute.
No.
Think of how much they have to share.
Fuck them. They don't share shit. They take.
They could. They could share.
They could.
If you ask them. If you crack them, they share.
Yeah, if you ask them. Mm-hmm. I actually saw my stepdad as I was driving here. I went the other way and I kind of go by their house, and he was pulling out. And I don't think he realized it was me, but I like swerved left to center just to like freak him out. I was like, he probably doesn't know that's me.
No, stop it. So I'll tell you a cute story.
Yeah, let's.
So my old neighbor from my old house, the one I sold recently, he lived 2 houses down, and he used to drive to the grocery store. It was like 6 blocks away.
They're lazy.
He was getting too old, and he was starting to like get lost. Went just from there to there. So his son took the keys, right? Took the keys to the car. He came to my house and asked me if my husband had any old keys, old car keys. And I was like, no.
I like him. He's resourceful.
He was like, well, I saw that your husband works on his car a lot, so I wasn't sure if he had like car stuff. And I was like, why do you need an extra car key? And he was like, well, because my son took my fucking keys. And I need to go to the store and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm really sorry. So he leaves. 2 days later, this little old man was on his lawnmower, drove the lawnmower to the grocery store and back. Stop it.
George Jones.
Who's
his
that?
wife.
Stop.
He's a country singer, okay?
Oh, okay.
Crazy country singer. They call him the Possum.
Okay.
There's a famous story that his wife took his keys because he would drink and drive, and he drove a lawnmower and got a DUI. Like went into the bar in his lawnmower, came home. Yeah, George Jones.
He was the cutest old man I think I've ever seen. Super feisty, just pissed.
I'll take him.
So, story about someone who was not an old man, but weird thing that I saw on the road the other day driving home from work in the evening. Pulling out, grown man, pulling out of a parking lot in a kid's Jeep.
Like a Hot Wheel? Like a Power Wheel?
A Power Wheels Jeep.
Like a motorized one.
A motorized one. Like
into the road.
Next to me. Into the road. Stopped at a red light. I took a picture of him.
I love it. Can you send us that picture? We'll put it on the show.
I sent a picture.
Please.
I took a picture. I was trying to be really sneaky about it.
No, he wants you to take a picture.
I sent it to my husband. I was trying to be sneaky because I didn't want him to know I was taking a picture. And he's like, but if you drove 20 miles an hour, he couldn't catch up with you.
You could coast down at him. Run over him.
Or up a hill. What would he have done?
Yeah.
But I was like, oh my God, lights on, everything, because it's dark.
I was going to say this was not that long ago, so it was dark outside.
It was dark outside. I was like, oh my gosh, I just love that he treated it like he was in an actual car.
Pulled out into the lane, sitting at the stoplight.
At a stoplight.
Could have taken it up the sidewalk.
I had that exact thought. I was like, we're on Market Street. There are sidewalks. You can actually just be on a sidewalk.
So here, I always joke with my buddy who lives 2 blocks down. If you ever watch the old Mad Max, I'm like, this is like Bartertown. This is I will see, there's a guy who parked his tractor out front. He went to the head shop next door. And I see people driving the craziest stuff. I'm always like, welcome to Bartertown. I'm waiting for Mad Max to come out and
anything that moves.
It's crazy.
Love it.
Well, your week was reasonable.
Yep. Mine was a doozy. Yours sounds good.
Yeah, I went out for pizza last night. It was okay.
Where'd you go?
The place down in Canton. And the place was beautiful and the service was great. But I'll tell you what.
You're a pizza person.
Yeah, it was okay. It was
Mm.
okay. It was one of those big oven places that,
Gotcha.
and it was okay. But everything else that was going out around me, I was like, shit, should have got that.
Gotcha.
I had fantastic pizza in Chicago.
Yeah, I bet you did.
So good.
Do you want to rub that in?
Style?
Yeah, don't rub that in.
I brought some home for Andrew. He reheated it in the air fryer thing. He was like, this was not that good. And I was like, what would make you think that you re-baked it? What? How? He was like, it wasn't that great. I was like, well, usually double baked pizza. You didn't warm it up. You put
weird.
it
in it's really crispy and dry.
Right. I was like, well, it was
fryer.
really good yesterday in Chicago. You ruined it, and I don't have any empathy for you.
I'm kind of nervous about tomorrow.
What's tomorrow? Tomorrow
is the Cleveland Browns Steelers game.
Oh.
And my friends are crazy. I told his wife, I said, you should probably cook turkey tomorrow and make them kind of sleepy. Because I have a hunch they're going to be
wilding out.
I don't even know how it's going to turn out.
That's right. I do have a client that's going to that.
Yeah.
I have a client that's going to that and a client that's going to the Ohio State-Michigan game. Because that's this weekend, too.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Was that today?
I don't know.
That was today. Jay, was that today? Jay's in her head somewhere.
Oh, yeah. No, it was today. You're right. I think.
So it's not yet? Justin's talking to us.
It's
not
next
today.
weekend because my client was talking about Thanksgiving and then a concert and then the game. So next weekend.
Yeah. Go football.
But, yeah.
All right, we got a subject for today.
Da, 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 da. Oh, we're going to talk about fighting.
Oh, I got to tell you where this came from.
Oh, yeah, please do.
Fist fighting?
Sometimes.
Relational fighting. Combat styles.
Combat styles.
Finish them. It's actually conflict styles.
No, I like combat way better. My dad was in Vietnam. I had a client who was dating a sweet boy, she said, and she's super excited, and they were dating for, I don't know, a couple months, and he's really good at communicating because he came from a good family, and she did not, and she's like, this is so foreign to me.
He doesn't fight right, does he?
No. And said that he said, this is going really well, but there's a few things we need to talk about. She's like, okay. Because I need to know your combat style. Like, how do you fight? And it was interesting because I've never weirdly thought about that. That should be, like, what do you call it? Your kink list, and then that.
Yeah. Love languages.
Maybe that one first.
Argument languages, anger languages. Yeah. And then, all right.
So it's not called combat style?
No, it's
What's
not.
it called?
This says conflict style.
So there's 5 different kinds. And there's a guy that developed it. His name was Thomas, is it Kitterman or something?
Kelman.
Look at me.
Well, you remember Thomas.
Anyway, yeah.
Hey.
You have like 3
Thanks, Mom.
different letters.
I'm pretty good. We might be related. My dad got around.
Yes. So.
Like, you know, like you're like,
I'm familiar.
Mr. Kincaid definitely got around. He was
So,
friendly.
Yeah, so there's
Strong silent type, I feel like my dad was. Yeah.
mine was similar. He softened up a whole lot in his old age.
Yeah. We turn into women. We do. Well, estrogen just comes in our body. Our testosterone goes way down. We soften.
Well, that's fine. We turn into men because our estrogen also
Lord
goes
knows.
way down.
Lord
So
I
we-
was like,
knows.
I don't know that women get softer in old age.
No.
No.
You get fucking
No.
brutal.
You start off pretty soft.
Our combat styles start switching up.
Oof.
And so do your guys's.
Yeah, we just give up. We just like this. I'm going to eat this shit.
I think it's kind of like the opposite. Women are like, I've been taking this shit for way too long.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, you
It
know
switches
what?
up. That's why
I've seen it.
old couples are happy because the woman's finally getting her way and the men are just along for the
They're
ride.
just eating shit. They're just eating it. They don't even care anymore. They've given
made it
up.
to stage 5 of the relationship where they've just
Acceptance.
they're on the same team.
They didn't
and
climb off the pedestal. They jumped off it.
We knocked them down,
Like,
King of the Mountain style.
Yeah. It's like all right. First one.
Attacking.
What? Get out of here.
It says this argument style, which can also be described as conflict prone.
That's my metal band. That's my other metal band.
We have so many.
I know.
We need to start
A festival.
a Google Doc, right? It says relies on pointing out things that others are doing wrong, usually motivated by anger or annoyance.
So, I'm familiar with this one.
This is my unhealthy conflict style.
That's yours?
It is. I'm very quick to I'm
Kelly's
quick
like,
to anger.
that's my jam.
No, this is my natural. Like, I am very
shit.
quick to anger. So it would be very natural for me to be attacking and to be conflictual. I have to actively try to not be, because it's not my intent. It's just, it is my personality. It really is. I'm an 8. Remember we talked about the Enneagram?
I couldn't get through that book. I bought 2 of them. I have one in my bag. Can you walk me through it? Because I literally was like this. I can't.
Mind blowing. But yes, I'm an 8. So we are conflict comfortable.
She's an 8.
Conflict.
I don't know what I am yet.
I forgot my number.
Really?
I want to say
Do
you
you
were like a
remember?
4 or a 5. You were somewhere in the middle.
It sounds right.
Yeah, you got to walk
Anyway,
me through that
I
shit.
know. We'll do a whole thing on it.
I have the book in my bag.
Okay.
I take it everywhere. I don't read
I
it.
don't read.
I own
I have
like,
one on my nightstand too. Swear on everything.
I own like 4 different copies.
I
I buy
own
them
2.
for my clients to distribute them
The book
if I
is
need
this
to.
thick. You think I could get through it?
Then maybe you bought the wrong one, because the one I have is like this thick. We'll have to do a
Hey,
whole
Jay. Look through my bag. There's a book in the back of it. Right there. I'm not joking. I want to know if I got the right, because no wonder this book's shit.
It's yellow. The one
Is
No
this
idea.
green?
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm a 7. I'm a soft
I don't
3.
think you're a 7. You're
I don't even know what that means.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
I
I
can't-
literally
I
have
can't-
no idea.
I could guess, but you're not supposed to guess. Yeah.
Let me see
Is
it.
it yellow?
Bring
Yeah.
it in here, Jay. Just put your arm in so only people see your arm.
It'd be like-
I know, right? I've had so many people go, can you just post pictures of them so I can see what they look like? I'm like, no.
No, it has to be. It's the study guide. Study guide.
I didn't read the front of the book. I just read the big letters.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
not.
I think I sent you a picture of it.
You
probably.
sent me this fucking link.
Nuh-uh. All right. I'll bring you one next time because I own 4 of them.
Yeah, I own 2
Maybe
of those.
5 of them.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well,
Did you understand why I have a hard time with that?
Can we trade? Will you give me
Fuck
one of
yeah.
those? Because then I can study.
Fuck.
Anyway, so in 8, we are the argumentative ones. We don't enjoy or look for conflict, but are very comfortable having it. It does not, but it's productive. That's what our intent is. I'd rather just call it what it is.
Okay. You're an 8.
But I can get super attacking.
Jay, will you turn that talk back off, please?
In my unhealthy state.
Okay, so attack style.
Yeah.
Is that a good way to do it?
No, it's not ideal.
Maybe in a street fight. What would you
What do
say
you think,
about people who
Stepanie?
have an attack style?
I would say for the person who is being, I would say you probably don't resolve conflicts. The other person probably feels attacked.
Yeah.
And therefore unheard and
It says it
defensive and probably wants to attack back, and you don't probably make points well, and you probably come to counseling.
We get a couple of these, huh?
So what else does it say, Kelly?
It says it can come off as aggressive or accusatory.
No shit.
Yeah.
It says this argument style can certainly help you express annoyance and anger at your partner, but doesn't necessarily tell them what you need. So for that reason, it is not the best way. Is it always? It isn't always the best way to resolve conflict.
Is there a thing that says it's ever appropriate?
It says,
Not
and
so
because it's
much.
accusatory and the accusations about your partner's action, it leaves them open to arguing back, which is where things can get heated. No, it does not say
It's a good
this is
thing.
appropriate when.
Oh. Is that all of it?
That's it.
All right,
When
so
is it appropriate?
when someone's trying to attack you,
Mine's in my purse. Let's go.
but you usually want to they know you're serious,
right, yeah.
that. So if someone is attacking now, so this is the thing, Bray. We even did this show about this today. If you're starting to talk to someone or see them or be intimate with them, I can guarantee that 99.9% of people have never had this conversation about your combat style. I'm going to keep calling it combat style.
That's fine. I appreciate it. Well, this is not, it can be personality based, but this has a lot to do with modeling. Like a ton. Lots of people that I see.
If you only date models?
No, they grew up in a house of people who were attacking.
Yeah, most people don't know what modeling is. Can you explain what modeling is? Sorry.
Well, like what you have seen, what has been modeled for you.
I just want to make sure people understand it.
For
so
sure. Yeah,
when they're
for sure.
Google boxing things.
Yeah, what has been modeled for them. So I have a lot of people who come to me, and this is foreign. I statements like I feel this when this happens are foreign. I do a complex I statement, and their minds are like blown.
So when they're attackers, they're like, I will fuck you up. That's the kind of I statements they use.
Yeah, well, and
I fucking hate you.
That's why the fair fighting rules are so mind-blowing to some people, because they say you can't call names.
I've shared that so many
You
times.
can't yell. You can. It's just not going to get you very far. It'll take longer to get to resolution if you don't follow these things. But a lot of people that have attacking styles either saw parents that attacked each other verbally or physically, I mean, whatever. So they pick that up. They screamed back at their parents, or they were screamed at and didn't have a voice. And now that they're adults and have one, they don't know what else to do other than
That's
this.
their language.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Next.
Well, number 2 is defensive.
Oh, weird.
It says this comes out in all scenarios, but particularly if somebody is on the receiving end of the attacking argument. In those instances, it's natural to want to defend yourself and attempt to offer explanations or deny accusations. It says, while defending yourself against an angry...
Uh-oh. This is not going to be a good word.
onslaught.
What?
That's what it
This
says.
is really combat now. That's a combat word for sure.
While defending yourself against an angry onslaught is a normal thing
You've
to
never
want
heard-
to do.
That's a good word.
Oh. Blackman says, I don't even know who that is because we didn't read that part. It's not going to get you very far again. So somebody comes at you in an attacking way or an accusatory way, and then all you do is focus on, that's not true. How could you say that? You're wrong.
Stopped that.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing, and I've been sharing it with people. I said, I will not defend myself. I will not explain why I should be allowed to do something until you truly help me understand in a kind way why it's so important to you, where it's coming from, and then I can put, a presentation together but that's how I feel about it.
Right.
Like I've spent so many minutes of my life
defending.
Oh my God.
When this doesn't have to be like this is an argument style, right? A conflict style. You don't have to be attacked in order to get defensive. There are a lot of people that come at you super this really bothered me, blah blah blah, and I
tried to work on that too.
Yeah.
I really tried to work on why is this question even bothering you, Thomas?
Right.
Like in my head, talking to myself. She should be able to ask you any question without freaking you out.
Right. Or express what she needs without.
Yeah, but they're sometimes not.
No, but
I guess
I'm just sometimes they are.
But you should ask some questions if you're I will start asking questions and ask well, why is this? Where is it coming from?
Yeah.
Why is it important to you? Because if you can make me understand it, I can kind of get on board with it. Most things.
Sure. I get this a lot when I'm working with an individual. When I'm working individually with somebody who is in a relationship, they come back with trying to use their I statements to try to resolve conflict different, and they get a lot of this. The other person isn't changing their style. They're not in therapy or they're not working on the same thing. So they get super frustrated because maybe they're going from withdrawing, that's the next one, or attacking and trying to be more assertive. And then as soon as they say anything, their partner, like I said, pops and gets super defensive and there's no room. It says it's very closed. It's yes or no level, leaves very room for looking for a resolution.
Even in explaining to people, stop defending yourself like that. Just make sure they understand where it's coming from. I also think that we were, a statement that started going around is, that's a you problem, not a me problem. Mm. That's not that's a quick little, but it's not healthy.
No.
Right? I mean, honestly, you can say that shit and act like a hard ass. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Okay, but I don't know if you noticed it, but they're still your kid. Well, right. They're still your husband. Right. They're still your boyfriend.
You're
whatever the fuck you're dealing with.
Team.
So you can say that shit all you want, but you're in the circus.
Yeah.
Even if, I don't know about you, but if there's a monkey in the room, you kind of got to deal with that fucking monkey.
It's true.
Is that fair? I've never been in a room with a monkey and been I didn't even know there was a monkey here.
Where'd that monkey come from?
No, not once. No. No, they're kind of fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll eat your face off.
That's true.
Literally. So I think those blurbs and little things that's a you problem. And I've said it. And I look at myself now going, the fuck is wrong with you?
Right.
It's a me problem. You're sitting here.
You do you, I'll do me. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Well, I said, is it a us problem, a me problem, or it's somebody else's? Where is,
sure.
I
Where's
don't know
fault?
Where this is coming from. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know anybody who gets defensive, Stephanie?
You're
oh yeah,
personally or clinically.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm attacking. I don't get defensive.
You probably get defensive too.
Oh yeah. Well, I've seen this fighting style in my family life. Not in my household, but in the household that I come from.
Yeah.
And so as I was listening to this, I was just listening to how it just creates this kind of circle of an argument that never ends, right? And these hours, it feels like hours, I don't know.
Yeah.
But really these hours of endlessness of conversation, not even conversation, just
bitterness.
And I think
just
it also just brings, just jabs back and forth where the subject of what the argument even started out being just changes because it's
it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone because you have to keep defending yourself against the next thing, and then now we're going to attack about this, and it's like, well, you did this, and it's.
Well, they look for proof. So the attacker will say something, and then the person will defend, and then the attacker will bring up something else to try to like prove that this is in fact true. And so then it just ping pongs the whole way down.
And an hour and a half later, it's like, what was this about, and why is this still going on? And
so you grew up in the Gaza Strip.
So basically, yes.
They're still like, I don't even know why we're fighting. I kind of know.
I don't know that there's ever a winner.
No,
everybody loses.
Everyone loses.
Aww.
And that's how I feel about these fights.
Yeah.
Specifically, those two together. Like, there's never a winner. It's just at some point we take a break.
Tired. They just
get tired.
Right.
People are obsessed with winning an argument. And I look at people like, don't you just want to know you're right or win? I was like, no, I know I'm right. If I know I'm right, I'm not even going to argue it. Like, why would I even argue it? Because I'm just like, and if you feel a certain way, like, we're at a standstill.
Right.
Like, what? I'm sure there's food that you like that I don't like. I'm not going to convince you to like them. It doesn't affect me at all. Like,
and it's one of your biggest pet peeves.
Lord.
No. Well, I had a friend. My best friend the other day called and she picked up the phone and she's like, I won. I just laugh. I'm like, oh Lord, what does that even mean? What did you win?
What the fuck's that even mean?
That's why I said, tell me more. You won what? What did you win?
Imaginary trophy. She has a blimp hanger full of imaginary trophies. She does.
But she laughed and she was like, she was like, I was right. I called it. I was right. I was like, but do you feel like you won because you were right? Because now you're pissed that you were right. Right. He did, in fact, do the thing that you assumed he would do to hurt your feelings, and that doesn't sound like winning to me. Mm-hmm. Being that is
the biggest fucking twist ever to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
How's that even?
Because then she didn't feel dumb. She saw it coming. She wasn't blindsided. She called it. She was right.
It still happened.
Well, yeah. No, but now she's justified in her anger. That's what that is. I mean, like, it's. Shit. She was right.
I get it.
She knew. She won. I was like, you can be correct. I don't think you won.
We would like to we need more words in our vocabulary. Is what it is.
Right.
Oof. That's. I know. I don't. Honestly, I'm gonna say no. We don't. I'm gonna say most people need to understand the definitions of the words they currently have, because a lot of people use words. I ask them, I go, what does that mean? They're like. I'm like, why are you saying things you don't know?
Oh yeah, we Webster a lot of words here on this show.
Hey, any listener out there that owns a trophy company, we would like to get sponsored because we would like to hand out imaginary trophies.
I would love to do that. Just pull it out.
Here you go. You won.
It's like the gold star on what is it? Like America's Got Talent when we have clients.
Here you go. Here's your imaginary trophy.
Like you win.
Wow.
Start sending people cookies.
Oh yeah. Oh, you can do all of those ridiculous things. Order all types of stuff.
Yes, things
glitter
you could
bombs
send to
and
people.
Poop and potatoes and
a bouquet of sex toys. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, for some would probably be very inappropriate.
Listen. My daughter today told me on my way here. She said, "Make a kids podcast," and I was like, "Why?" She goes, "Because all you guys talk about is boobs and wieners and vaginas."
Vaginas? It's like a fajita?
Vaginas. I was like, that's not true. And she was like, well, you said that it's an adult podcast.
Is that what all they think we do?
I know. I was like, no,
we talk about paying bills,
right?
fucking mowing the grass.
Right. I was like, that's not true. That's not true. Do those things come up? Yes. Yes, they do. However, it's not what I mean when I say I'm on an adult show.
Like
oh no. Oh no.
We do an adult show. It's for big kids. That's what
she meant like OnlyFans.
I don't know.
Holy shit.
I don't know what she thinks.
My mom
I have follow-up questions when we go home.
Yeah.
Her second grade classroom has lots of thoughts about her.
Right.
Yeah.
My mom does a podcast for
an
adults.
Adult. Holy shit.
Lord help me. Oh,
Chancellor
all right.
Kelly.
Number 3. Withdrawing.
Get out of here.
I hate this one. This one makes me mad. We talked about this before.
Oh, yeah. As soon as I told her what we wanted to talk about today, she looked at me with such disdain.
I don't want to talk about it.
It was beautiful. Let's talk about this.
Is this the idea of, oh, you get to read it.
It says, withdrawing can affect an argument in two ways, depending on whether you are being withdrawn from or the one that's withdrawing. It's the passive. It's the passive one. The stonewalling one. The Thomas Walling one.
Whoa.
That's what it is. People that don't want conflict, they just ignore you, walk away. And there's positives to this one. Taking a break or a pause can be beneficial during conflict, but completely withdrawing and not returning to the topic or not like...
That's a fight or flight thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. These are the flight people. Or the freeze people. Probably more the freeze people.
What's that?
I don't know. I want to say it's more flight.
Yeah. So...
Yeah.
Fight, flight, or freeze is aggressive...
Sexual
running.
Things. Since we're at an adult podcast.
Disassociating. Like, that they just like check out.
Disassociating.
Yeah.
Just like, I can't.
Well, like, I'll give an example. I worked at a...
Do I freeze more then?
I would guess that you're more of a freezer, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. But
Not
I worked
anymore,
at a residential...
ladies and gentlemen. Not anymore. You bring me some shit now, we're going to talk until I'm blue in the face.
At the residential center that I worked at, I was the counselor for a boys' cottage, right? Well, fights popped off all the time. So we would have the kids that were chucking chairs and brawling in the middle. We would have kids that would run to their room, like as soon as anything popped up. And then you would have like that one kid that's eating breakfast at the table and doesn't even move. Doesn't look.
We've seen those YouTube videos where the guys get, like, the guy comes in with the gun at the bar and is like, and the guy's just sitting there, like, smoking, eating his wings, like, don't give a shit. And he's like, and you can tell even the gun guy's like,
right.
What the
Those kids always made me the most sad, if I'm being honest, because they're so used to the conflict or the chaos or that they just shut down. Their brain literally turns off, like goes into survival mode, and they just.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. So you're a freezer. But withdrawing, when I scrolled through this, because in my unhealthy state, I can be more accusatory and attacking. Withdrawing is the worst thing that you can do
to you,
to an attacker. I would much prefer you be defensive, because then at least we can like have a conversation. It's not productive. And this is very much pre-Counselor Kelly, like in my 20s, right? Mm-hmm. That I was mad and I wanted to talk about it.
Right
and
now.
I want to talk about it now. And my ex-husband was very much a defensive fighter. And it was infuriating for me. But the only thing that he could do worse than that is walk away. My current husband is more of a withdrawer. Our conflict pattern is much healthier now than it was when I was 20, you know, but like it can still be frustrating because I will lean into conflict because I find it productive. And he's avoidant. I mean, you know him. He's avoidant. He said so.
He's not here. He's definitely avoidant.
No, he ain't here. He's
avoiding this conversation right now.
He's in Florida. But so yeah, withdrawing. That's why I was like,
so
talk about this.
If you are a withdrawer, you are a freezer.
Well, I think that the withdrawing, I see that very much as somebody who is actively moving away. Mm-hmm. Like that active, like walking out the room, getting in the car, driving out, driving down the road.
I've done that. I've definitely done that.
And I think that withdrawing can be healthy if it is that pre-discussed thing of, I am somebody who needs a minute. Mm-hmm. And like kind of how we're talking about, hey, what's your combat style in the pregame? Yeah. So we're saying when I get angry, I need to take a few minutes.
I definitely could have been.
I am going to do that. Yeah. But then we're going to come back and talk about it because otherwise, like what you're saying, you're like, oh, really? I want to talk about this. And you just got in the car and left. And so, right. And if you're an attacker, I'm not saying you ever did this, but what some attackers might do is then get in their car and follow you.
Yeah.
I never had to do that because my ex-husband, when I was not who I am now, who was the defensive person, I didn't have to chase him down. We just went back and forth.
Yes.
Man.
But
Andrew has done that in his previous marriage. He would get in his car and he was followed often.
Oof, me too.
Yeah.
I wish I could have done better with that for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that when you are somebody who is like, hey, I get very overwhelmed with being attacked, maybe, or I get very overwhelmed with being confronted, where I just need time to sort things out. So give me my 10, give me my 15.
Right.
Then you don't get that other half of the
hard.
people following you.
I said I'm like a plane.
Mm-hmm.
There's many ways to approach me. And if your approach to landing a plane is rough, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can land a plane. Mine is not brutal. You can't approach me brutal. If you talk to me calmly, you could tell me almost anything calmly, and I would probably not do any of those things. But if you approach me prickly or hard, I'm immediately like this.
Yeah.
And I will get away.
Well, and again, people can do this even when approached appropriately. If this is somebody's conflict style, it doesn't always necessarily get triggered in an unhealthy way.
Right.
It can just get triggered. So I could come in and again say like, hey, this really bothered me, and you just completely shut down, or like, I need to take a shower, like not even acknowledge what it is that I'm trying to say. Just like the defensive people, they feel the need to defend themselves all the time, and sometimes people with a withdrawing conflict style, again, even if somebody's using the I statements, they may not have the skills to have an appropriate, productive conversation, and they run because they don't know how.
If you like to run, we didn't give out the number. Like and subscribe, by the way. And the phone number is, you're going to say it because you have better eyes than me right now.
Okay. 234-200-5949.
Send us a text about the craziest
fight.
Yeah. For real.
Craziest combat.
Yeah.
Spicy combat.
I want, for real, the craziest, and I want police records.
The blackout stuff. How good would that be? Could we do like a screen share?
Man, that would be good.
Well, so the last one is open. We're wrapping up. It says...
Wait, did we go through 5 already?
I don't...
Is it?
I think there's only 4.
Oh.
We're going to make up the 5th one. Is there only 5?
Yeah, there's only 4.
We need a 5th one.
I would say the 5th one is petty.
Well, let's go to
Petty
that
fighter.
What's that? Like you just play Tom Petty records?
Like
that's the best
sarcastic, manipulative, passive aggressive one, I would say, is definitely a fit. Would you agree?
Oh, but see, is that a mix of the attacking?
Oh shit. I can smell the smoke burning. You guys are thinking hard.
Because they're not. The reason I think it's a 5th one is because they are not as direct as an attacking person. Attacking person
it's more passive
is
aggressive.
Assertive that snowballs into aggressive, and the defensive person is again probably assertive that snowballs into aggressive. Withdrawing is the passive side of things.
Right.
But I would say like the petty person or the passive aggressive fighter, the one that is aggressive or attacking and then plays victim and gets defensive and then attacks again, and like it's not really blended. It's like both. All 3 really, because then sometimes they withdraw if they're not winning, or if they want to prove a point, they'll leave.
They're random. They're like, what do you call it when you potluck?
Potpourri.
You never know what you're going to get. Are those the hardest people to diagnose and the hardest people to get through to?
They're usually, I would argue, being a trauma specialist.
Of course you would argue.
I would argue.
We've been over this,
the very
Kelly.
Attacking part of her.
Right. It's the confliction.
You don't say.
They're the ones that had I would say, the most chaos. Like that they had a hard time getting their needs met, and therefore they're willing and trained, I guess, to go down every avenue to try to get to whatever
they'll try anything
point. Yeah,
they're the most resourceful.
Very resourceful.
Well, that's a positive way to look at it. I like that. So number 5, open.
Yep. says, then of course there's the holy grail of argument styles. Da, 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 da. This is the trophy style.
It is.
Mm-hmm. It says being open and able to consider the whole situation from different perspectives while remaining calm.
I'm into that.
This encourages your partner to think about the conflict in the way that you're both reacting.
I don't have a partner. Sometimes I feel like...
It says this serves to move the argument past the conflict phase and looking into the resolution phase.
I feel like that almost frustrates people as well.
What?
Because you're like, oh, hey, we can get through this. And you're like, no, we can't.
Oh, some people
like, you just want to fight.
Need to fight. They don't know how to get to resolution without having conflict. It is like actually foreign to them. They feel like there has to be some sort of angst and like tension. And
how is this not bothering you?
Yeah.
Well.
So the other thing that I think is interesting about this is the word argument. Mm-hmm. I guess I would want that defined a little different.
Oh, let's do it.
Oh, let's look.
So I will say this. My one friend, his wife always like, and Dave was freaking out, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I wasn't freaking out. He's like we call him George Costanza because it just immediately he's like, I wasn't freaking out. You know, but he really wasn't freaking out. But anything elevated because he's normally so calm.
Yeah.
Like if I raise my voice, people are going to lose their shit. They're going to be like, he doesn't do that. Like if you ever heard me like get loud with somebody, you'd be like,
no. I know.
This is not going to end well.
I have heard you be frustrated and you get like more intense, but just as like monotone and cool. It's almost scarier to me.
Yeah.
I'd rather you yell at me. I'd rather fight. Mm-hmm. So it says argument. An exchange of opposite views, typically a heated or angry one. So it is, by definition, implying anger or frustration.
Yeah.
Argument.
So what one person would consider an argument, sometimes the other person definitely would not. They'd be like, I didn't even know that was a big deal to you. Why are we fighting? I didn't know we were fighting.
Yeah. Because, okay, when I am angry, my angry voice is, it's low and very long words.
Do you get
serial
more
killer
calm?
Huh?
You get more calm, more soothing.
I get more soothing. My angry voice would be like turkey gravy, beans. Mm-hmm. Like that's me being. That's how you know that I am very angry.
Like slowing it down. Like, do you understand?
Increasingly mindful of what is coming out of her mouth. Mm-hmm.
And so when
I'm familiar.
That's usually how I fight now, is that I will like literally close my mouth and like sigh really heavy because I'm trying
This is Kelly's
to work
move.
through.
This is Kelly's move.
I do that. Or I like rub my face. My neck gets splotchy.
Is that it?
It does.
Is that the
I break
move?
out in like hives.
If you see her put her hands on a counter and lower her head,
or raise
you're
it, or like this,
fucked.
Like I'm
your pre-prayer
asking Jesus himself
Take the wheel.
to come down.
Take the wheel.
Apply my filter that I have lost.
Shit. That's the move, right?
It is. Yeah. It's hard for me, but you get slow.
I do.
Deep.
It's usually like slow and
That's how you get deep. That's what angry looks like.
That's what an argument.
Oh, okay.
That's
how you behave.
That's my argue
yeah.
style. And so I guess what I'm wondering is it's not usually very attacking.
No.
It's very to the point.
If you don't know me, you might miss it.
Oh.
So your husband could say, we never fight. And in your head, you're like, no, we have had multiple arguments. You just didn't know we were having one.
That's funny.
He knows that we're having arguments. Other people might
don't understand. My threshold is much higher. Like, I remember being in my therapist's office talking about my relationship with my husband now. And I'd be like, we don't fight. And she was like, you guys need to fight. And I was like, but we don't. And she was like, you can't move forward in this relationship unless you know what your fighting styles are. Like, you have
combat styles.
You have to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. So now I'll say, like, to somebody, I'm like, oh no, Andrew and I never fight. He'll say, well, Kelly and I got in a fight this weekend. And I'll look at him like, you don't know what fighting looks like with me. Like, you have no idea.
And you're still walking?
Right,
We did not fight.
Because in my head, I kind of equate fighting to like unhealthy conflict. If we can navigate a disagreement in a healthy way, that is not an argument or a fight to me.
Right.
If we're fighting, it's because I've yelled or cussed, or which like I don't do anymore.
Well, we've already determined you're not much help.
Yeah, I know. Not very helpful.
I was in a band one time, and let's just say the singer.
Was it called Conflict Prone?
It was, might as well. It was
Great
pretty
names.
bad. Let's just say the singer was just problematic, and we're out somewhere out of town playing, and he goes, TK, you're just real, you got a real dry sense of humor. And the drummer goes, nah, he just doesn't fucking like you. Yeah. I was like, well, right there.
Yeah. I've had friends not say that, but like I'll be in a group of people and I'll be really quiet and somebody will say how shy I am.
What?
They will. They'll be like, Kelly's so quiet. She's shy. Yeah. And like my friends, they like laugh out loud.
She's already thought of 13 ways to murder you.
She's just not feeling your vibe. That's why she's not talking. Like, this is just not her scene.
They can't read the room.
No. No. And you're right. I have read it.
If
and
I'm
like,
quiet in a room.
None of you are my people, so I'm not going to talk to you.
If I'm quiet, oof. They're fucked.
Also, there's a place and time, right?
Yeah, I can be quiet, believe it or not.
I don't have to talk.
I'm only mouthy on my stages, which is this, where I tattoo, and when I play music. I am not mouthy anywhere, unless I'm having a conversation with my dear friends or something like that. But I am not mouthy anywhere that I'm not extremely comfortable.
Anywhere. Oh, yeah, I would agree. Same.
Nowhere else. Nope. You could take me anywhere and I'd be just fine, but you wouldn't know I was there.
Polite, respectful, well-behaved, reserved. But you are not always.
No. Hell no.
I haven't called that before. She's so quiet.
I had a client go, Thomas, you just always come across just so like zen. I was like, yeah, I'm hiding the green monster. Like, I am Bruce Banner from The Hulk. Like, I do everything. This is not me being a great human. This is me making you not deal with
the other things. Yeah, the other stuff. And it doesn't make us fake. I feel like that's
absolutely
like, it is not a facade or a mask. Right.
It is a discipline. Well, it's like, I don't want to be obese, so I have to be disciplined to not be obese.
Right.
Like, there's things that, and it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't want to have conflict with people.
It's time and place.
Right, yeah. I don't enjoy it.
It's time and place. I think that you don't have to be the same person in every setting, and that doesn't make you a fake person. But the person I am at work is not the person I am, at home, and the person I am when I show up to my kid's school is not the person I am.
Weekend, or
I don't speak to my dad like I speak to my mom. I don't speak to my daughter like I speak to my buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Just read the room.
Right.
And you're allowed to do that. I mean, if you're...
And you should.
If there's some core differences...
Please do.
You know what I mean?
Please do.
Right.
It's actually super beneficial. You should read the room.
So earlier today, my cousin calls me and she's like, I had a weird experience at GameStop today. So my cousin is a year younger than me. And she's there with her 10-year-old daughter at GameStop to buy a game. And she goes, where can I find this game? And the guy at the counter, who's like a 20-something-year-old, because I was like, how old was this guy? Goes, up your butt. And she's
what?
like...
He didn't even do this, up your button to the left. He didn't do that.
And she's like, excuse me? And he was like, we have it back here. And
so he was just joking around. But
he was joking around. And I was like, I think that he should have noticed that this woman came in with a older child.
Right.
And probably was not the person to make this joke with.
I don't know too many people other than your friends. But, I mean, it's not so deplorable that, you know what I mean?
And so for the rest of the encounter, he called her madam.
Shit.
Opposite end of the spectrum.
He swung so hard the other day. Oh, my God. That's like trying to kiss a girl, and then she pushes you away, and then you try to put something in her butt. That is like a big jump. Really?
But I was like, he did not read the room well.
No, either time.
Either time.
Did he give you a discount?
Oh my God, you know how pissed I'd be if somebody called me madam. Madam. I don't like calling people call me ma'am now, and it makes me mad. Like, when did I become a ma'am?
Madam.
And I just loved that.
Does she run a brothel?
It's like, oh, okay, madam. I was like, how old was he? She was like, it looked like he was in college. And I was like, he didn't read the room. He didn't see this mom walking with this clear, like, 10, 11-year-old kid.
Right. Madam.
But you gave him that mom, excuse me? And he was like,
Madam. Madam. Who in the fuck? They don't even say that shit on Harry Potter. Like, stop.
Well, you will love she was buying a Harry Potter game.
Maybe that's why he jumped to that.
He's like, I was just doing a butt spell. I don't know.
I don't know.
Justin, the next time you're at work and somebody asks you where something's at, be like, up your butt.
Up your butt.
Up your butt. I mean, I used to say that to my brother when I was little. Up
We
your butt and around
up,
the corner.
Yeah. Up your butt to the left.
Where's the remote? Up your butt and around the corner.
Madam.
Well, we were laughing because she's like, I say that to my kids all the time. But she was like, you're at work. You don't.
I'm
a
customer.
I'm a customer.
I mean, it's GameStop. Let's pump the brakes.
I know.
You're not Merrill Lynch,
I don't
okay?
even know.
Like, fucking relax.
This is true.
I mean, fuck, dude. Do you remember what happened when they were trading stocks with GameStop? Like, come on. They have a false sense of entitlement at this point. There's no fucks given. They tried to come up in the world and be adults, and you guys squashed them. No.
I
Butt talk.
GameStop.
Butt talk.
But
Recently. I didn't even know that they were still like a thing.
Yeah, they're like, just wait at them.
How they're still a thing. But
You know why?
Every time I go in there, which is often anymore, because now my younger son is playing games, I am the only one in that store. Ever. They don't only one.
I mean, yeah.
No one
every
else
time I
is
go in there, I'm
shopping
the only one.
The only one.
Maybe it's,
well, with my child.
Yeah,
It's just
well,
us.
yeah, sure, right.
You ever see Fugglers?
What?
They sell them there. There's these stuffed animals, and they look kind of like little monsters. You know what I mean? Like a little fuzzy monster, but they have real teeth. Look it up. Dude. So I started buying them for my kid.
Real teeth. You can't say real teeth.
Okay.
They have human teeth.
Go ahead. Be funny if the like conspiracy that it literally was.
Is that where the tooth fairy's been taking our teeth this
It's
whole
where
time?
they've all been. That's where they go.
You can sell them there.
This is so good, by the way. For real. Do you see their teeth?
I want to see.
Yeah. So, they sold them there, so I could go there and buy them.
You bought
I have several.
one?
Okay, the little bunny ones are kind of cute.
How many?
Mind your business, woman.
What? Well, because you never have one of something that you enjoy.
Madam, that is inappropriate.
If you enjoy something,
I actually don't.
extreme.
I didn't go crazy with that, but I wanted to.
More than 3.
No, probably between me and my daughter. But they're so funny. And it's so cute. You're like, oh, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Because you're like, oh. Because it's so, like, You show her a bigger picture where you could really see. Like, it's so bizarre.
They sell them at Walmart.
But I love them. They do. Now it's ruined.
Now it's for.
I'm just kidding. They sell all kinds of stuff there. Yeah.
You should support GameStop and keep going there
I
for
will.
the fugglers.
I will. So good.
This,
Do you love them?
this guy still needs a job, okay?
Madam, do you love them?
I might have to buy them.
You wouldn't buy one?
I would buy him.
Look at it. It's so good. Get the fuck out of here.
That's hysterical.
So good. Show the camera.
How do I
Can they see it, Jay? It's so good. So send me some.
Oh, it says funny ugly monster.
Yeah.
Aw.
Ma'am. Madam.
It's for 4 and up, ages 4 and up, people. This is not toddler time.
Also, ladies and gentlemen, don't buy this fucking book. Buy the real book.
It looks very similar. It's the exact same cover.
Except it doesn't say study guide.
I'm sorry, Thomas. That was my bad. I'll bring it back. I'll bring you mine, and we'll just trade. That way, I can study.
All right, so let's get closer to the wrapping up of this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say this: if you don't know your combat style, you probably do.
I would
Look at it.
Yeah.
And imagine what the other person would feel like
Right.
doing that, and what would be a better way to do it. Because here's again, like when we talked about attachment styles, you can't just say, this is just the way I am, this is what I do.
Mm.
You have to look at the best one of the 5, which was open, and try to
The Holy Grail.
like shape the way you react more closer to that than what you think that's just how I am, because that's bullshit. Sorry.
No, absolutely.
If you're allowed to change everything else anymore, I think you should be able to change that pretty good. I mean, literally, we have people.
Stop
it. Is that fair?
It's fair.
Well, I'm saying this is.
You can be who you want to be.
Yes,
you can fix
that's
this.
a problem.
You can adjust this. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You don't get to just throw up your hands and say, my parents fought all the time, so I'm just aggressive. Like,
Yes. So I'm just going to carry on this trauma and generational trauma for the next.
Yeah.
I had that
150
conversation
years.
too, and I said, because we were talking about, well, my dad did this or my dad. I was like, listen, I grew up with some crazy stuff in my family, and I didn't do any of those things to my kids.
Right.
And I'm not super educated. I didn't find Jesus. There's no like crazy thing. Like
Right.
I was just
Pivotal
like,
moment where.
no,
Yeah.
I didn't
Light bulb
sit on
went
top
off.
of, a mountain in Tibet for 6 days, meditating. No, I literally was like, nah, that's not cool.
Yeah.
And I was just a little bit more disciplined about it, I guess, So if you have a fighting style, what would be some quick tips from you smart ladies, not my Appalachian ass, but that would be a good, like, starting point? Because you can't give them too much.
Yeah.
You got to give them just like a little nugget,
Yeah.
of like, start here.
So I guess I'll share what I do with clients often. I do start with an I statement, but I don't even have them communicate it. It's like an internal dialogue, and I send them like an emotions chart, which everybody's like, that's so silly and so basic. I'm like, no, it's not. First of all, the emotions chart I use is phenomenal. And second of all, I'm like, you can't communicate anything if you don't have the awareness as to what you're feeling and where it's coming from. So I will send them an email with a basic I statement and emotions chart, and have them like write feelings down that they experienced between that session and my next one. And I'm like, okay, so now we can figure out what it is we're trying to convey and communicate. But like that, I would say that's step 1. If you don't, everybody's like, I'm just mad. Well, you're not mad. You're mad because you feel something else and it's pissing you off. So like,
Well, my friend yesterday said, embarrassed, betrayed, or what's the other one? There's 3. Sorry, I wish I could. But why? She's mad because she's embarrassed. There's like 2 more, and which one is it? You know what?
Yeah.
What's
Hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scared.
Sad.
Scared makes
Scared.
people insecure.
Yeah,
makes
that's
people,
it. Scared, embarrassed, or
neglected. Something like that.
I mean, there's so many.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like anger is just what's easy to show.
Oh yeah. What's the one that's most socially acceptable?
Anger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People get weird when people are lovey. What's wrong with them?
Right.
Why are they so nice?
Or sad.
Why are they
When
so
they're just-
nice?
yeah.
Who fucking says that?
Crying makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Happiness makes people
Crying
skeptical.
makes me not happy.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It
A lot of-
it freaks me out, bro.
A lot of people.
Even my own, like whenever my eyes sweat, I don't like it.
When my eyes sweat, it is not ideal.
No.
Anyway, so that's what I would say. I would say that would be step one. Look up an I statement, look up an emotions chart, and do some self-reflection so that you can try to figure out what it even is that you're trying to communicate. Because if you're not prepared for like what you said earlier, I think it was before the show started, but like what the end goal is.
Ooh, I got a better idea.
What?
If
Sharpen
you're going
your knife.
if you're really going into combat, you need to know why you're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
You'll fight way more passionately if you know why,
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
and you know your enemy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in true combat, you need those two things to do it well.
I don't know if I like the word enemy, but yes.
Well, if you're
Opponent. I know that's even
well, I'm
worse.
saying like know who you're going
Yeah.
up against. Opponent's better. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
opponent and why? Like, to me, when I think about fighting styles, so if I was going to give someone advice,
That's kind of your job, right?
Mm-mm. Actually, not really.
No.
No.
no,
We
no,
don't
it's
give
not for me
advice.
Oh, sorry.
You cut to the road however you want.
Mm-hmm.
But
like
yeah, if
that.
I was going to talk to somebody about it, I would say I usually tell people the first part is I'm a big person about processing, so write it down.
Mm-hmm.
Like take a step back, sit with it, write it down, because I will tell you there are things that my husband does or that people around me do, and I immediately get that flare of anger.
Mhm.
Like I am hot, I am mad, and then I'm like, I'm gonna talk to them about this. And the first thing I think of is like, what do I want them to know?
Sure.
And so I'm like devising this whole scenario in my mind, and then I'm like, actually, this isn't that important.
Yeah.
I
I do
like
that all
when
the
I
time.
get to it,
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
actually, this
I don't know that
isn't
there
really
has
that
to be
important.
a conversation about
Yeah.
this, right? Like,
And
Why
so
am I so upset?
I'm just tired.
yeah, and
I'm just
so
hungry. I'm like, yeah.
sometimes it's once you've really like looked at it, it's like this actually isn't worth bringing up.
And most people
Mm-mm.
never get that
Yeah.
even
Right.
close to that resolve in their own head. They're me like, no, I feel this. Because here's the thing. Again, people say these random little blurbs. I'm like, well, if you have a problem with somebody, you need to tell them. No. You need to understand why you have a problem.
That's right.
Right.
Because
Right.
again, if you don't know, you can't fight that fight properly unless you actually go, this is why. This is why this bothers me. I don't know about you, but whenever I had an adult when I was young explain something to me like, you can't do this because see this is going to hit this is going to go over there, you're going to kill the dog, you're going to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh
Yes.
shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Much easier to adjust.
So when you just
Right.
bark at somebody, you're doing the same thing as when your parent goes, because I'm your fucking dad and that's what I fucking said.
Yeah.
Because I said
And
so.
no one likes that.
No.
So that's basically the same thing, correct? Am I?
Absolutely. Like I'm a why person. I am not somebody who you can just give a random equation to and then I'm going to remember it forever. Why is that an equation?
Why is it important?
I need to understand why. Why is that important?
Yeah.
Why do I have to put the square peg in the square hole? Why?
Right.
And you can't just tell me because you do. And so that it's the same thing. I have to understand like, well, why is it important for me to have this conversation with this person? And sometimes it comes to because it is, because when this happens, this delays me in my day. When this happens, it makes me feel this way. And I, sometimes it is important, but then I can then have that conversation and formulate a way
Set
of
up the plan.
having the conversation with the opponent about how.
Well, I mean, but I want to
Yeah,
put
I
it.
know
I
what you
try to
mean.
put things in a way that
Yeah,
people
yeah.
will truly be able to
Right.
put it. Like when I basically saying when your parent says, "'Cause I said so,"
Right.
that's what you're doing
Yes.
to someone. And if people finally, because we don't tell people that a lot, but if they can put it in that context, when you're just barking at somebody, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
not fair.
No. Well, and I think a lot of people, when we're telling them like, hey, this isn't healthy, this isn't the way that you should do it, they then clam up and then they just won't pick a fight. They don't fight. But that is just as detrimental because if this is really something that has to be discussed, not discussing it will create bitterness and resentment. And like, that's not going to get you anywhere either.
Right.
It's going to drive a wedge. Just maybe you'll be the one to leave because you're bitter instead of them leaving because you hurt their feelings. Like, so there has to be some sort of middle ground there.
Yeah.
Just like a brutal parent, if every time you try to talk to them, they're just like, because I fucking said, you stop talking to them.
Right.
Like, you always stop talking to them.
Right.
You know, because it's not a reasonable place to share anything or ask anything, or, you know, there's moments where you're I always say, you know, if I'm yelling at my kid ever, it's because they're going to get hurt, and I'll explain it to them later. I'm like, hey, I didn't mean to bark at you, but this was going to hit you, or this is, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to just lose my shit on them.
Right.
You know, I'm not perfect. No one is, but so being mindful of why you're upset.
And I loved the idea of knowing understanding the person that you're having the conversation with, because the most important reason for having the discussion, having the argument, having the conflict is because you want a resolution.
Because you actually started caring about them. I do not argue with people,
If you don't,
but I don't even have a conversation with people I don't care about.
Yeah.
So think about that too. You're only having that conversation because you don't want to not have them in your life.
right.
You want to be around them, and you want it to be reasonable. So, I mean, I think we lose track in that as
Right.
well. So,
Yeah.
so basically, learn your enemy, destroy them,
Be tactical.
like Conan says.
Think about it.
To see your
Plan.
enemies driven before you. Yeah. It all goes back to Conan. My whole life goes back to Conan.
Full
Everything
circle, guys.
about it. Yeah, I could base my whole life on Conan. I can.
I know.
He does a beautiful job. He stops at nothing. Doesn't. That's real determination there. So,
Like, follow.
follow,
Subscribe.
watch Conan the Barbarian and
Right,
learn
yeah.
how to be a good human.
Mm-hmm.
Other than when he got drunk and punched a camel. That was kind of bad. He did that in the movie.
Bad call.
Yeah, and he called
It's a bad luck.
He called a girl a bad name too.
Oh, bad luck.
It was like the 70s.
It was the
I
times.
know, it was the
It
times.
was.
Everybody got drunk and called people out of their name and punched
And hit a
camels.
camel.
He
It was
did.
very common back in the 70s.
He was really drunk though.
Yep.
Yeah, Justin just scared her to death.
234-200-5949. Call, text.
Text me, don't call.
Oh,
Text.
don't call.
And
Text.
put your favorite part of a Conan movie, please.
Yes.
It's my favorite movie.
Right.
We share a birthday.
In your radical conflict situations.
Radical conflict.
I would love to hear it.
Holy shit.
You wouldn't love to hear it?
Yeah, I want to
Would
hear it.
love
I
to
want to
hear
see
it.
photos.
The aggressor, the
I want to see
runner,
if you have any Irish kisses.
the petty.
Do you know what Irish kisses are?
No.
Black eyes.
But I was
Oh.
just when I said no, I was like, no, it's definitely a bruise on your face.
Oh man.
All right, guys.
Thank you so
Tell 'em
much
to be
for
better.
coming on
Thanks
the
for
show.
having
we really appreciate it. Now
me.
listen,
This is
and if
fun.
people want to do your EMDR, do some research on it. It could be very like in a lot of different aspects, and find a really good representative of somebody who does it well, right?
Yeah.
And it helps.
It does help. And you can find some really good TED Talks on it. And EMDRIA, EMDRIA, is a good resource if you look online. And they can also help you find some reputable EMDR people in your area.
So
Very
I
nice.
definitely am going to look into it because I feel like I need to,
Pick up spicy rocks
yeah, let's get
with
crazy.
guidance.
I don't know if I need it. I'll be honest with you, madam.
I don't know if you're ready.
I don't
be
know.
kind, guys. Tell him to be kind.
Yeah, be really nice, and if not, fuck off, and like in a nice way. But no, seriously, fight better. Mm-hmm. Don't just because you're really gonna just teach your kids to be assholes. So stop doing it. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.